Silver Linings Playbook accurately portrays many aspects of what it is like living with a mental illness. In the movie, the two main characters both struggle with psychological disorders. Bradley Cooper, who plays Pat in the movie, is a man struggling with bipolar disorder, which increasingly progresses after he walks out on his wife cheating on him with a history teacher. The DSM claims that bipolar disorder includes the presence of at least one manic episode, which Pat displays.
What's going on?
This event also causes Pat to have extreme PTSD. According to the DSM, PTSD is experienced when a person has recurrent, intrusive memories of the event. Pat has flashbacks throughout the beginning of the movie of him walking in on his wife with another man.
I pull the curtain back, and there's the fucking history teacher with tenure. And you know what he says to me? You should probably go. That's what he says to me. So yeah, I snapped. I almost beat him to death.
The DSM also states that a person experiences intense psychological distress at exposure to cues or stimuli that call to mind the event. When Pat walks in on his wife, it just so happens that there is a Stevie Wonder song playing on the radio in the bathroom. The same song happened to be Pat and his wife Nikki's wedding song. The movie shows Pat having psychological episodes and having breakdowns every time he hears this specific song.
That song is killing me. Can you please turn it off?
I can't.
What do you mean you can't?
I don't have the controls. I'm
Did
sorry.
Dr. Timbers put you up to this? Is there a speaker here? Is it a speaker here? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, okay? I'll fix all this, okay?
It is common among people with mental disorders that certain stimuli that a person associates with a traumatic event can trigger violent outbursts or psychological episodes. Pat's therapist even purposely plays this song throughout the office when Pat comes to therapy to see if the song still triggers him. Pat also says that sometimes he hears a song when it isn't even playing, showing that he has reoccurring hallucinations. Pat also experiences the delusion that his wife and the history teacher were plotting against him by embezzling money from the local high school. As a part of his disorder, Pat is also obsessed with the idea that he and his wife will end up getting back together, despite the fact that she has a restraining order against him because of how his illness affects his behavior. Pat shows multiple symptoms for other disorders besides just bipolar disorder. Pat eventually meets Tiffany, played by Jennifer Lawrence, who is also struggling with the psychological disorder of depression after her husband dies in a car accident. Tiffany tries suppressing her depression by sleeping with everyone that she works with, which eventually ends up getting her fired.
Hey, come on. Look, I don't think you're crazy, all right?
Yes,
No, I
you
don't.
told your therapist that you were in a superior mental illness category and he didn't.
Hey, calm down. Hey,
Leave me alone.
can I just explain myself, please? I didn't want Nikki to think that I was associated with that kind of sexual behavior because I've never done anything like that, okay?
You may not have experienced the shit that I did, but you loved hearing about it, didn't you? You are afraid to be alive. You are afraid to live. You're a hypocrite. You're a conformist. You're a liar. I opened up to you and you just...
The DSM says that symptoms of major depressive disorder include feelings of worthlessness and feeling depressed for most of the day. Tiffany displays both of these symptoms throughout the movie. Tiffany and Pat both help each other through their traumas by spending time together and eventually fall in love. Most people with psychological disorders depend on others in some way or another to help them overcome what is happening inside their heads, whether it be therapy or talking to close friends and family. However, the movie does have some inaccuracies. The movie depicts Pat mistakenly saying his dad has OCD. His dad, who is a huge Eagles fan, rubs a handkerchief in his hands and rearranges the remotes on the table in the same direction every time the Eagles play. These superstitious game rituals are mistaken by Pat, who believes that his father has a real OCD disorder. According to the DSM, a person has OCD if they have intrusive and recurrent impulses or thoughts that cause anxiety and are suppressed with an action or thought. These obsessions are followed by compulsions, in which a person feels driven to perform in response to the obsession to reduce anxiety. Pat's dad is anxious that the Eagles will lose, however, he only displays this behavior when the Eagles play, not in any other aspects of his life. If the father had true OCD, then these obsessions and compulsions would exist in many other aspects of his life, not just sports. Overall, Silver Linings Playbook did a great job portraying accurate elements of psychology.